o'clock. It's our time.
Okay, we are live now on YouTube. This is the Town of Aurora Board Meeting, December 28th, 6:58. And we'll begin at 7 p.m. sharp.
Perfect.
And we will end at 8:14 so as to watch the bills. Maybe just one comment before we begin here, that there are 2 times within the board meeting at which the public is permitted to speak. And we certainly encourage that. Audience 1, you'll see on the agenda here in a few seconds, will be the ability to speak on any item on the agenda. So that would include Boys Road. Audience 2, which is later in the meeting, allows you is when you are able to speak on any issue pertinent to the town of Aurora. So.
Hey, Luke, it's 7. We ready?
Ready to go.
Okay. Welcome to the Town of Aurora Board Meeting. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
United States of America
and to
and
the
to the republic
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we have one of our board members who's still out recovering from knee surgery, Chuck Snyder. I saw him yesterday. He's doing very well. He says hello to everyone, and but he's just not up to being at the meeting tonight. And we also have another board member that will be on shortly. She just called in. That should be a little late. That's Jolene Jeffy. So going forward, number 2 on the agenda is public hearing, and we have none tonight. I will go to the approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the December 14th, 2020 work session and board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second? Second? I can't.
We have a visual second with Sue. But.
Okay. And a second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that's carried. Sue, are you having issues?
There we go. I got it. I went to
Okay.
full screen and all I could see was me.
Oh, okay. All right. So we go right into audience 1, and this is an opportunity for anybody in the audience tonight to talk to the town board on any of the items that are on the agenda. And I'll go to Luke, who is organizing the meeting, to see if anyone's on.
Sure, yeah. I would like to ask if anyone who would like to speak can use the raise hand function through Zoom. We will give the opportunity to speak as well, trying it for those of you who can't figure out the raise hand function, but we will start with those who raise their hand. And also a reminder that we are limited in speakers on time, so I will let you know when there will be a minute remaining for any comment. So we will start with the first hand up, which is Mr. Aronica. Sorry if I mispronounced that. You may now unmute.
Good afternoon, everybody. appreciate the time and everything my wife and I have. And the reason we've reached out and caused this is because we are the adjacent property next to the 4 acres of Holiday Eagle lights that are going on Boys Road and have for about 5 or 6 weeks. Unfortunately, I think that the town zoning is a bit deficient in what it's done. Section 116.81 E says, for limitations, traffic, glare, or electrical interference that may create a nuisance to abutting properties or be detrimental to the character of the neighborhood. Section 116.34 says we may be eliminated by sight of constant color and intensity, no flashing, rotating, or moving lights, yet you excluded Christmas or similar holiday lighting. The lights that they have are flashing. They're non-sequential of high lumens. They shine directly into our kitchen, our dining room, in our bedroom. We've had to have lights. We've had to take our pets for medication because of the stress. The transmitter that they're using for music plays assorted music, including Queen. I don't think that's holiday as well. Their digital marketing and television and paper ads have directed people to go there for a purpose, to create a large traffic draw. And those draws are bringing a danger to Boys Road. We have seen, as of like last Sunday, 62 cars at one time. We have seen little girls doing cartwheels in the road on the dark in a 45 mile an hour area. We see headlights going into our house. Because of that, we are shut-ins and have been for 5 to 6 weeks. I am telling you, and it's affected our neighbors. They're bringing out garbage cans. They're bringing out sticks to block these visitors who are, some of them are smoking marijuana. We sometimes find beer cans on the road, despite the wonderful police that have tried to break it up. They've even tried to bring parking to the road, no parking signs, and these people just come up and say the heck with it. When the police are there, things are much better. Then as soon as they leave, while the cat's away, the mice will play. We have had Elizabeth, I believe is her name, came to our house, stood on the deck and said, wow, those are strong lights. I wouldn't want to live here, and looked at the traffic. It's because it's impacting us directly. And Mr. Bogalski has proudly said he has 15,000 lights and that more is going to come. The way that the town has written the signs does not take into account the normal, and I use that with quotation marks, what is reasonable. We have not, and Mr. Bach expressed this with all respect to mentioning your name, Mr. Bach, in this. I have never experienced anything like this. He asked us to do a petition to ask you to change some of the regulations, and that's what we did with a number of petitioners. And I believe it's 15 have signed their names of adjacent neighbors that are impacted. Some are scared. Some are afraid, were afraid to sign the petition, and even sent us notes saying that because of quote unquote political reasons, they did not want to put their names down, but supported us. And that's embarrassing too, because I know that you care. The chief of police has been very, very good to us, the wonderful officers that have seen this. And we just don't know where to go. We have asked you to consider referencing the holiday signs to be secured to homes. Maybe they come out 20 feet from the building. Maybe they come out 100, but 900 feet for acres of lights, that belongs at the Knox Farm. You know, Miss Freeze indicated that we're not going to have a ball drop
1
because
minute
of the
remaining.
COVID risk. I tell you, people come, and this is dangerous. We don't know as neighbors where to go. Now, you may hear from people that aren't directly abutting the properties, but if you look at the petitioners, they see it. Plus, we have seen double parking of vehicles. And what that means is that emergency vehicles cannot go down the road. We have seen people going out with lewd hand signals. We have seen, it's incredible. We feel that this is not a Christmas season for us. And it is sad. And it is sad because we're talking about Christmas season. These people they are abusing the reasonableness of holiday lights, Christmas lights, and what is next? And I think the town needs to get a handle on the suggestions as outlined in the petition and do something that is positive to relieving this. We also understood from the various interviews
Please finish your thoughts. We've run out of time.
Police. I understand. From the various police officers have been kind enough to come here, and when we've called them on some occasions, but not on every one that we've witnessed. And they said that their hands are tied because of sometimes doing on the road. Last week, we had the county come by with 5 or 6 trucks to repair the shoulders that were significantly damaged, and they couldn't fix the culvert that was destroyed at the Ronald Solom residence as well. I asked the town to consider this when they're discussing this in later on in the minutes, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, next we have, I apologize, no last name here, Brian.
Yes, Brian Segulin. I live about a quarter mile south of Shopper. And basically, we see the lights, the actual light display isn't the nuisance to us where we're at, but where the nuisance comes in is just a safety issue. Driving south on Boys Road, coming from East Aurora, Emery Road, or Blakely, as you're coming down, the people that are here parking along the side of the road, looking at the display, aren't paying attention to you as you're trying to pass. So, I mean, that's from our standpoint, the big issue is just the safety issue, the fact that there is not any traffic maintenance or anything that's being applied to that area when you're coming down. So that's the end of the comments that I had.
Thank you. Could you state your name once again for the record?
Brian Segulin,
And your address?
1919 Boys Road.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else like to speak now? I don't see any further hands, but I will give you the opportunity now. Open it up. Okay, we do have a hand here, Mr. and Mrs. Bujanowski.
Good evening. My name is Michael Bojanowski, and I'm actually the homeowner of the Holiday Light Show. And I just want to appreciate everybody who came out here, enjoyed the show during such hard times, donated to such a good cause, the Rural Outreach Center, which is a great benefit to this community. We have raised almost $2,000, which will be going 100% of it proceeds to the Rural Outreach Center, which is an absolute fantastic thing that this community did for us. This show has brought so many tears to people's eyes. It is a beautiful thing. It would be a shame if anybody brought any negativity towards this show. Safety, one thing, is definitely a concern for anybody. And I would appreciate if everyone is safe during certain times or any events that take place. I think over the first weekend with such a great turnout, I think the police department did a great job by posting signs on one side of the road that there would be no parking to allow traffic to go through. I think after that, almost everybody followed the directions. Whether or not you could see the signs were another thing. Windy days actually ripped the signs off. I just want to say again, thanks to everybody who did come out. It was an absolute fantastic thing. We received numerous letters in the mail about how this changed a lot of people's lives. It was just an incredible thing, an incredible turnout, and a huge fan base. One thing I do want to point out is this goes beyond further than a complaint about a holiday light show. These neighbors have not wanted us here since day one. And this is just a rebuttal to continue to try to push us out. And that is absolutely ridiculous. So I will not stand for that. And if they really had any concern for anybody's safety, they would have been the first person to donate to Rural Outreach Center for the concern for people who actually really need it this time in their life. It's ridiculous. But I do want to say thank you again. I appreciate it. And I look forward to hosting a lot more shows to come with great improvements. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I believe we have Mr. Czerny. Mr. Czerny, you want to unmute?
Yes, thank you. So first, we need to acknowledge two things. One is the legitimacy of the concerns. I think we need to listen to those things. And I, as the executive director of the Rural Outreach Center, certainly appreciate the attention, maybe as much as the finances that have been derived from this event. I guess I'm just going to urge everybody to try to find some kind of a way to deal with this in a reasonable way, so that the positives, the benefits can be realized, and the negatives can be minimized. I think reasonable heads can get together and come up with some solutions that everybody might feel comfortable with. Thank you.
And we of course know you, but can you just state your full name and address as well?
Frank Czerny. I reside at 194 Walnut Street in the Village.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We have a Brian. Is this the same Brian who spoke before, perhaps?
Actually, this is his wife.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go. State your name and address again as well. Thank you.
Yep, my name is Virginia Miori. The last name is spelled M as in Mary, I-O-R-I, and the address is 1919 Boys Road.
Thank you.
So I wanted to, we're not involved in any kind of disputes with neighbors wanting them to be here, not wanting them to be here. But our daughter drives through this display every night on her way home from work and has almost been hit multiple times. So I wanted to really express that it's a critical concern. She's 5 days a week coming back from teaching a pod so that, you know, kids can have their education despite the fact that learning is remote for so many. And when she drives through this area, people pay absolutely no attention to cars coming up and down the road. And she has almost been hit multiple times, has been faced with vehicles going straight at her multiple times. And I want to be clear that this is a big problem. You know, if it's happening to her every day, it's happening to anybody that comes down the road every day. So whatever resolutions are drawn here, this cannot be maintained the same way. There has to be some attention to the fact that it's putting people at peril. And I just wanted to make that doubly clear.
Thank you. Miss Angustier, sorry again for the mispronunciation. If you would like to unmute at this point. And state your name and address as well. Thank you.
Cheryl Engasser, 1515 Boys Road, and I own the property next door to the property in question at 1784 Boys Road.
Thank you.
I think my biggest problem is my tenants who live next door there have had no problems with the lights. But the one who started all of this trouble kept going to their house, trying to get them to sign in a petition, to go on the news with them, to make phone calls, to call the police when we were having no problems. The signs went up for the no parking. I don't quite understand what the problem is. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I know they thoroughly enjoyed it every night, getting to watch it out their bedroom window, out their kitchen window. They stood outside and watched it with the radio so they could hear all the music. And the complaining about the music was only if you turned the radio station on. So it's not like it was blasting through the neighborhood. I don't know if everybody got a chance to come and see the wonderful job that was done. And I feel bad because no one in that neighborhood that signed that petition ever went to the owners and said one word to them. They went behind their back to all the neighbors trying to get everybody to sign. And it just upsets me. With the time with COVID and everybody being stuck in the house, they had a chance to get out, see some beautiful lights, a beautiful display out in the country. That's about it. It's just very distressing. This used to be a neighborhood of neighbors helping neighbors, and particular neighbors up there have not left this poor young couple alone since they started building that house.
You're muted, Luke.
Yep, thank you. If anyone else has any other comments, in addition to the raise hand function, there is also the chat. Someone on here as X, you may unmute now if you have something to say. Okay. Is anyone else who would like to try to unmute now? The lines are open, as we say, to anyone who has not spoken. Okay, I think that is it, Jim. We'll pass it back over to you.
Okay. So we'll go on to 5 unfinished business. And we have the Aurora Municipal Center change orders for Telco. I'll just read, Councilman Snyder was good enough to send a little brief message on both 5A and 5B. 5A is a change order, number 36 from Telco in the amount of $1,602. And this is for material and labor to install a gate to keep the public from walking right into the main area of the building department. And this wasn't considered when we made the original plans, but because of COVID, we don't want that happening. So that wasn't a consideration back then, but it is now, and we need to do that. And then 5B is the final payment for Fontenay's, Holtz and Albrecht and Ernst. And basically the first 5 lines for the each phase of the project based on the total cost of the work. The last 2 lines are 2 payments for work done by Nussbaum and Clark. And they were basically pass-through invoices with no markup, which we agreed in our contract and have done a few times. So there, it was due to the asbestos in soil analysis. So this is the final. That is the final bill from our architects. So what I need a motion. We'll do 5A first. Motion to approve the change order in the sum of $1,602.00 to Telco for the door for the building department. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sue Fries. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by,
Joe.
oh, Joe, you're on. Okay.
I
Julie?
am. I'm on my phone. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see the picture or if it's half my head or what's happening.
I don't see you, but welcome. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And that is carried. And then a motion to approve the final payment to our architects for the municipal building. And then that's a total of $49,388.60. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stu. Any discussion? I would just like to thank Councilman Snyder for all the time that he put in on this and working with the architects. And if he's listening, thank you, Chuck. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstain?
I need to abstain. Yep.
Okay, Jolene abstained. All right, we still have three. It is carried. New business. I think you received from Martha the additions tonight. Back to my additions here. We need to add H, which is a donation of $500 for the senior center, and I, which is a carryover verification for Bill Kramer. Do I have a motion to add those items to the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. And now we go to 6A, which is a budget transfer for rec department from Kathleen Moffett. And it's for $2,367. And it was less hours worked at the senior center for Elaine. And it's a budget transfer from A6772114 to A7020110. Any discussion on that, or do I need a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, this is a request from Roger Pigeon, and this is a resolution for the assessors to temporarily suspend a law exempting the having the senior citizens have to come in and file for their STAR exemption. So I'll read the exemption. And during the pandemic, they're putting that aside right now until this is over. So resolution directing the town assessor pursuant to New York State Governor's Executive Order 202.83, continuing temporary suspension and modification of laws relating to the pandemic disaster emergency, specifically as it pertains to the senior and disability exemptions of the real property tax law, to grant exemptions on the 2021 assessment rule to all property owners who receive that exemption on the 2020 assessment rule, thereby dispensing with the need for renewal applications from such persons, as further dispensing with the requirement for assessors to mail the renewal applications to such persons. Everyone understand?
I'm glad
Yes.
If so, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved. Glad the state did this.
I'm sorry?
So moved. I'm glad the state does this.
Okay. Luke made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Nope, Sue's got it. It's fine.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank God our state is doing something right here. Next, we just need to extend all our town appointments to January 14th till after our organizational meeting, because a lot of the appointments end at the December 31st, and our reorg meeting is not until January 11th. This is something they have to do every year. Well, I need a motion to extend all current town appointments to January 14th, 2021 at our next organizational meeting.
I'll make that motion.
By Jolene, do I have a second?
Second.
By Luke, any discussion?
Maybe we should do something a little different next year, so 2021 goes a little bit better, you know?
We hope. Anybody else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we will have discussion on the petition for Boyce Road and the holiday lights. And I'll just start off by saying that I've had some discussions with Mr. Veronica and his wife. And in our first discussions, I talked with the building department and such, and could not find anything that they were doing illegally. And they had asked that we do something to change our code. And I said, well, if you wanted to bring something to the board, you'd have to petition us to look at it. So that's why I told them to do what they did. I also, just to clarify and be transparent, I've had my own towing trucks up at that location as far as I could see on record 3 times, winching cars out that were in the ditch as a result of the of looking at the lights. So I just wanted to be transparent and let you know that. And we need to discuss how we go forward. My opinion is, first and foremost, is one of the callers said is the safety aspect. I think we need to take a hard look at how we can control the safety part of that. And I'll turn that rest of the conversation over to the board.
I guess if I can just confirm, is it finished for the year right now?
I don't believe so. I don't believe it's done yet, but
Is there a date?
We could let the owners speak.
I guess that would be important to me, just,
If you have
to
a
get
question.
some context.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is Mike. Yeah, the light show would end January 1st.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I'd also like to point out here that this is Mike Bojanowski has written as well. I would also like to add regarding the Boys Road Light Show that one of us was out there each night monitoring in our vehicle, and the only issue we saw were the neighbors coming up to cars and flashing a flashlight telling them to get the H out of here. We have people who will attest to this. So if there's any other comments, you can leave them in the chat function.
hey, Luke, can you just speak a little louder? I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
Yep, sorry.
I just heard you say something about flashlights, but I wasn't sure.
So there was, it was a comment that we got in the questions. I'm saying if anyone has another comment, to leave that in the chat. Comment was from the property owner, Mr. Bojanowski, that stated that they were out there in their car monitoring, and the only issue that they saw from their neighbor. So, reading that comment. But in my personal view here, I think that there's a couple of things. First of all, the codes, when you review them, it doesn't look like there's any violation of any codes. I think we're all in agreement on that, so that's really not an issue here. The safety is a concern, and something that I think we need to work on in the future, just is something we need to do for everybody. So safety concerns, looking at how this works moving forward, would be extremely important before, anything were to happen next year for sure. Regarding any amendments to the town code, I would be very hesitant to really go down that road because of the subjective nature of any of those amendments. Doing a review of some other towns, I wasn't able to see any other towns that had done any type of limitations of Christmas lights or anything like that. This is different than the 11634 and 11681. I would be very hesitant to put restrictions on what property owners would be able to do in that sense. So that's my point of view at this point.
I would ask Liz Cassidy if she could just comment on the codes that were in question.
So 11634 is in reference to signs and the illumination of signs. And if you look at the definition in the town code, the holiday lights are not included in the signs. You could put up Christmas lights, according to my understanding of the code, around your sign if you wanted to. And it could be flashing, blinking, that sort of thing. But so the 11634 doesn't apply because this isn't a sign. And the 116, which is actually 8.1, is in reference to home occupations. A home occupation isn't supposed to cause a negative impact with traffic glare, electrical interference. So again, this isn't their occupation. This is something temporary, and it doesn't apply in this instance. And there isn't anything in the code that will address this type of light display. And I did look at neighboring towns. I also looked across the country to see if there were any other municipalities across the country that happen to regulate any holiday displays, and there aren't any. In fact, more times than not, they exclude holiday displays, light displays from their exterior light code sections that they have.
Thank you, Liz.
I think that I'm probably exactly where the rest of the board is, where the safety issue is the biggest concern of all. And obviously, if the lights are going into the neighbor's house, that's a concern as well. But when you create holiday lights and it becomes an event, when and it draws a lot of people, and then it takes a lot of resources from the town. It takes, we have special use permits for things like that when there's an event in town. And the basic reason we have those is so that the event is done safely and we can protect our residents, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody. You can have your event, and here's the things that you have to do to mitigate problems, etc. And so I'm wondering if there's any way did this become really an event as opposed to just holiday lighting? Are there any codes that might help us in that respect? Because our guys have to police it, and it is dark up there. It is dangerous if people are getting out of their cars. It creates a situation for the town and the other residents, and even for those that are attending, it creates a safety issue. I'm not sure if it's something we can send to the planning board to have them investigate further, or to see if it falls into a different category. I mean, I agree with Mr. Cerny that we should, try to find a solution and mitigate the issues, which is what I want to do. But when things like this come up, we don't even have time because there's no special event permit, and it's bringing a lot of people in. I mean, it was on the news, it was on the radio stations, social media, etc. So I don't know if there's something that we can do moving forward to address it.
Well, I think this, Sue, really gets back to that, when we were reviewing the code a couple of years ago, we looked at the event permit and decided at the time not to move forward with that. I mean, I agree with Liz that in the application of the code, these are not applicable, the ones that were referenced. But it may be time to, the special use permits right now are for the park and, that kind of thing. It may be worth a conversation to revisit the event, some sort of an event application. Again, it's difficult because, I'm just not a believer in regulating. Where do you draw the line? What size events? That kind of thing. But we definitely do have to figure out something to address the safety concerns, or people, not just once, but several times ending up in the ditch, et cetera. Certainly isn't anything that we can do right now. I would just ask the owner to, be monitoring, the last couple of days, especially because we have snow now, and on the side of the road and whatnot, which automatically makes the road much narrower. But it has to be a conversation. Hopefully when we get back to normal, we can sit down and possibly revisit that event permit.
Did drive by a couple of times at that when going out to Colden, and the one immediate concern that we may possibly have, I don't know how long the lines are now, but when you go down the dip and come back up, it's kind of dark and everybody had their lights on, so you could see it from a ways away. You can see it coming from that side. On the other side, everyone has their headlights on. I didn't come up, perpendicularly to see what that was, but there is that dip, and I don't know what would be able to be done over the next couple of days to try to avoid any problems there, because the cars did go back there. But again, like I said, it's always going to be in the dark, and then tail lights are certainly on. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that's necessary.
There's a lot of good ideas. I mean, maybe even going forward, seeing if we can't talk to the Mr. Bojanowski, is it? Am I saying that correctly? And seeing if we could limit the hours or days somehow, or I think getting together, as Jolene said, in the near future here, and sitting down and just putting our heads together to see how we can address the event or the safety. Again, safety is, in my mind, first and foremost. I don't see, I kind of agree with Luke that I just don't see how we can regulate the lights. I mean, Liz says there's no code in the whole country. I certainly wouldn't want to worry, the first one to have a code against Christmas lights, but we need to recognize that we do have an issue here, and that we want to try to mitigate it so that all parties can benefit from it. So I think we need to somehow get a committee together, or maybe it gets sent to the planning board for some ideas. Maybe that is a good idea that we, what do you guys think about referring it to the planning board for further discussion?
I almost want to try to take this on ourselves before we refer it, to just give a little time.
I agree.
mean, there's no real rush here, right? Because I think.
Well, there's nothing we can do this year.
Right.
It's almost over with.
So we have some time. So maybe if we set, I certainly be willing to go out to talk to the property owners, and to Mr. Veronica and to Mr. and Mrs. Bojanowski, and we could try to see if we could listen to Frank and maybe mitigate on a personal level, and at the same time we can think about it, about what impact that would have. If we change the code, we're going to be changing not only this event but quite a few other things. So maybe we table this until 2 meetings from now, and try to put our heads together and see what we can come up with, and then propose to give our thoughts and everything to the planning board at that meeting.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sue?
That sounds good.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Do we need to have a motion to table?
No, we're not. There's nothing to take
There's
action
nothing we're
on.
going to vote on, so
No.
I think we'll just look at this and have continuing discussions on how we can move forward and work on the issues at hand.
And yeah, just as a final note here that we, understand the concerns, I think, and want to come to some solution. I think that we said our thoughts here that it's not something that can be regulated in the way that was proposed, but that there are legitimate safety concerns that we should definitely take under consideration. I don't know if that summarizes the thoughts well, but
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay. Moving on. E is recreation minimum wage increases, and you have a chart on all the increases due to minimum wage. I won't read them all. I'll just ask for a motion to approve as listed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Jolene. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 That's carried. And Chris just said he's here.
yep, I just promoted him to, if you have anything to say, Chris.
No, I don't have anything to say. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. This is just kind of the standard stuff that we do every year around this time.
Next is the Recreation 2021 rate chart. And that just shows the rates for our rec department. And I'll just ask for a motion to approve as listed.
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
It's carried. Okay, the other day, Luke, myself, Martha, Nick, our ITT man, and the people from Southtowns Audio met at the new town hall board meeting to discuss the issues that we were having at our last meeting with the video and the audio, mostly audio. And there's a proposal in front of you that they said they could do to fix the issue. I'm not too sure what it is. Do you understand, Luke? Maybe you can explain what they have to do.
Yeah, so right now our mics are not connected to, there's no in-feed into a Zoom meeting. As we want to, obviously don't know how this current pandemic is going to move forward, but even in the future to have the ability and to put our meetings on YouTube and have the Zoom call-ins as well. The sound, as we know, doesn't work very well if we each have our individual microphones that are not connected to each other. What this proposal does is basically gives us sort of an in-feed box where all of the sound from the microphones that are installed here in the boardroom, including the wireless mics and the mic of audience members, would have the sound going directly into Zoom or whatever program we needed. We would have a dedicated laptop then up here to be used for all of the meetings. And that way we wouldn't have any of the reverb or any of those issues that we had last meeting.
Luke, did you actually meet with them? Did they come to town hall and like we had talked about to really look at everything? Is this getting us everything that we need?
No, this is getting us the sound. We had discussed some other potential updates or upgrades. They promised to get us a proposal on any of those things. So potentially having a screen somewhere else that we would be able to look at so we're not looking behind us. To have the camera in the room as well is another part of it.
Okay.
So, and then the difference between a stationary camera and one that moves is going to be a couple $1,000 price difference. So this here is just going to get us the sound, kind of the minimum of what we would need to move forward with having meetings, online.
We thought we'd take baby steps, get this fixed, see how it works, see if we need to go any further. When we designed this building almost 5 years ago, we never thought of COVID come along and that we'd have to be doing this with meetings. But having said that, I think it's a good idea whether once COVID goes away, hopefully that we continue to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with doing the sound upgrade if at this point in time, but I guess I would like to encourage us to even look at the rest of it sooner rather than later. You know, it's one of those things that, yeah.
They are doing a proposal for the rest.
Good.
But at
Okay.
this point, because it's, if we get an okay tomorrow, which we already kind of gave them an okay the other day, it's going to take to the end of February, I believe, is what you said, Luke.
At the end of January, they said to get it done, yeah.
Yeah, before we can even get it done. So we didn't want to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we didn't want to hold this up. We can always look at the other part later, and they said there wouldn't be much of a difference in price if they had to come back out. So it's not really something we want to hold this up for. So
no, I agree.
Okay.
Well, that was fun, and I think that probably this is the way to go.
Okay.
The amount of the upgrade is $1,126.65, and that would enable us again to be able to do these meetings from town hall and have the audio portion. Is that correct, Luke?
That's correct.
But not the video.
This does not include the video, yeah.
Okay.
Which is going to take some decisions because, again, do we want a camera that's stationary, one that moves?
Right.
And
it looks like, to me, we're going to be doing this for at least the next 2 or 3 months, probably from home anyway. So that's let's wait and see by February if we can get back in there and we can test out the audio, and then we can go from there.
yeah, I think with this setup, this right here, what it'll give us is the small camera that we had, which is not very good quality, but at least the sound will be coming through. One issue that I can think of is, it's a little bit unclear who's speaking, so we may have to think about that. But so the video is not going to be great with this, but it will be functional just, from far away. We'll just have to have a table in the middle of the room here, but the audio will be exactly as we need it. So I think that, yeah, we definitely have to take this first step, and then the second step, we're gonna have a lot of decisions, and let's do that next.
Any other discussion before we do the motion? Not to have a motion to approve $1,126.65 to Southtown's Audio to upgrade the audio system at the new town hall.
So move.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Sue. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I was seconding it like 3 times, but I was muted. Sorry.
Oh. I figured that might happen. All right, we added a couple things. I don't know if you were on, Jolene.
Yes, I was.
Okay. H is a donation for the senior center of $500 from Lillian Morgan, 118 Church Street, East Aurora. She'd like the donation to be placed in our TA 1000.900 line. Do I have a motion to accept that donation?
So moved.
Sue made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Jolene. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you, Mrs. Morgan. That's great. And then request from Bill Kramer is I. And he's requesting to approve the carryover of 4 vacation days from 2020 to be used in January of 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jolene. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Communication and reports. I only have one from Chris, the record director. So I will go right to business from the board members? I'll start with Jolene.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Sue?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Luke?
The only thing I wanted to discuss was with maybe Jolene, you might know more about it as well, but with this sign issue in Westfall. And if we have to do anything with that or what the options are, I think we still need to work on that, but I was hoping Dave was going to be on the call, but I don't see him.
I actually have the permit that would need to be filled out from the DOT and the information that we need. I just thought we needed to circle back maybe with the group at the next meeting, and I will have all that when we meet.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yep. And I did talk to Chief Krieger about the sign, the I don't know what you call it, the speed sign that monitors the speed when you go into an area, and that just flashes, you know, if you're going too fast. The group in West Falls had asked for additional police presence, and I also, you know, thought of the sign. I talked to him and he said the winter it doesn't work very well because it's just too cold and the electronics don't work, so they don't use the sign in the winter, but they will be sure to utilize that out in, you know, kind of rotate West Falls into the mix when they use that when the weather breaks. And then he had said that they will definitely, you know, make a note to try to increase their presence out there, especially as the skiing traffic starts.
I guess, do we need to do any, when would we need to do something for the advisory committee? Should we let it go and see how it runs its course before taking any sort of formal action or something, right? Be my proposal. Let's see if we have the activity that continues. I don't think there's anything we need to do right now to set a date and have that next meeting, right?
Well, no, I kind of thought we had talked about maybe scheduling one more, and then, you know, we can give them the updated information about the sign, and you just follow up to our initial meeting and then put the ball in their court.
Right. Good. Yep.
So just, I'm thinking, you know, maybe the first or second week in January, you know, after the holiday.
Yep.
If that works for you.
Yeah.
I just don't have everyone's contact, Luke, so that's why I haven't done anything.
Yeah, I've got it in my emails. I've got to put them in. Yep. Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Good. Okay. And myself, it's our last meeting for 2020. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. I have to believe it'll be a lot better next year than it was this year. It was certainly a challenging time for all of us, but it just makes us stronger, and we'll get through this. And I just want to thank the whole board and the staff in the town and everything for all the support and hard work for last year. Next, we'll go to audience 2, and this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board at anything else that they would like to.
Yep, I would like to just note here that the comments in the chat have been noted. And that we'll open this up again with the same rules as audience 1. So I see Mr. Aronica has a hand up. Let's start with you. Thank you again, and you are able to unmute if. There you go.
I just want to go on record, and I want to go on record and let Cheryl know, and Ron Engassers, they are wonderful people, and they, as Mr. Bach clarified, we had nobody doing any kind of protest or anything. It was from Mr. Bach's recommendations that I solicited the different neighbors who all had issues, as you noted, and some are old and not able to do that as well. To let Mr. Bojan out, I heard about, Elizabeth saying, oh, she checked the records, and Councilman, I hope I pronounce your name right, Wilczewski, checked also some. This is not normal. This is not 3.5, 4 acres of lights in communities. If you drive around Aurora, you're not going to see lights of this nature. People put the lights up and it's Christmas. This person is not doing that. They're trying to cause an event. As for the lights that affect us that you've been discounting, those are going, we've never been out on the deck, well, a few times, maybe for about 2 minutes, but those lights shine with a staccato right into our kitchen. And Mr. Bojanowski, early in November, he's making out like he's a Boy Scout. He asked my wife, how did you like it? And when my wife said it's very disturbing and that, he goes, good. I was hoping you would say that, and it's going to be bigger next year. And he was snarky. And for about 5 straight days, he was screaming across there. Do we have issues with him? I guess if building a house and doing construction at 5:30 in the morning is okay, I guess we didn't have it. I guess if Ron Engasser's grain trucks were parked on the top of the property, and Ashley, his wife, called complaining that it had an ugly look to it and those had to be moved. I guess that's bad. I guess if he never digs out his fire hydrant, and I've had to do it for 2 years, and I've asked him and he promised. In fact, this year, in order to, when he had one of his last comments to us, he says, you don't have to do it. I guess he would. I would hope that this town looks at the unreasonable of this and fixes it, and not at our expense and not at the neighbors' expenses, because it is sad. This is not about the neighborhood. This is not about blood money. This is his Tower of Babel.
Okay, we want to stay on track here. We're not going to get into neighbor disputes. That's not our job. Our job is to stick to the issue. Is there anybody else, Luke? You're muted, Luke. You're muted.
Anybody else that has any comments? Raise your hand. There must be one more comment. I see Mr. Rosati on here. I've got to ask, there it is. There's his hand up. Tony, Mr. Trustee.
I just wanted to mention a public service announcement. The first meeting for the village trustees is going to be Tuesday, January 19th, because we've canceled the first one that would normally be on January 4th. And the second one got postponed today because of Martin Luther King Day. That being said, there are planning board meetings, ZBA meetings in the village. Anybody who wants to see the schedule can look at the village website and understand what the options are in terms of video meetings and that kind of thing. The other thing I just wanted to mention in passing, when you're considering special events, 4th of July fireworks may come into that as well. I know there's been private fireworks displays in the past, so you may want to have something broader than just the end of the year kind of options. That's it for me.
Thanks, Tony. Anybody else, Luke?
Nope.
Okay.
And yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. We'll go on to staff reports. I'm not too sure. I know we got Chris on.
We do.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Just starting to look forward to 2021 with the vaccine coming out. We're hoping to be able to, eventually get back into the schools and run some more programs. We're looking ahead to spring and, running some of the similar stuff that we were able to do this fall. I said in my report there that I've joined up with some other aquatics professionals We're just trying to advocate for ourselves and, let everyone know that, indoor pools are probably one of the safest places we could all be at this time. I know that, over 300,000 people and 60 indoor facilities in New Jersey have been studied with zero traces of COVID being transferred there. And from all that we can gather right now is that no one here in Western New York has contracted COVID from indoor pools too. So again, looking forward to the future and some warmer weather eventually.
Very good. Thank you. Liz, do you have anything for us?
No, I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We also have Joe Wetzel on. Joe?
Yep, nothing to report from me. Just looking forward to the new year.
And I apologize,
Thank you, Joe.
I have not updated your name on the staff reports here, but Joe is
Engineer, town
Engineering.
town
Yep.
engineer. I will put you on for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Is Donna on tonight?
No.
No.
That's
Dave?
it for tonight. Nope,
Dave Gunner? No.
nope, that's it for,
It's it? Okay.
that's it for staff, yeah.
All right. And Tony has nothing else?
Tony?
I'm good for today. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, Tony. All right. Then I need a motion or a motion to approve the abstract.
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Opposed? And that is carried. And for the last time in 2020, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jolene. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sue. Any discussion?
Happy New Year.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
And that is carried. Thank you very much and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
To everybody.
Good job, Luke.
Yeah.
Thanks,
let me
Luke.
Shut it down here, but you're good to go.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.